Hello and welcome to Squishy Vision. Um, where a couple hours ago, having got back from something weird's happening with that green screen. Yeah. Why is that all fuzzy? What is going on? Hello. Is that better? We'll go with that. Anyway, where was I? A few hours ago, I finished watching Section 31. The latest from Star Trek, but kind of. Where did I start? I was expecting worse, which isn't a great place to start from, but I was expecting worse. It was fine, but it wasn't new. Like, it's a lot of it is kind of stuff we've seen. Like Guardians of the Galaxy have done it better. Actual Star Trek has done a lot of it better. Discovery did a lot of it better. There was some like nice bits in it, but so I was worried that this was going to be like really gritty, dark, adult Star Trek that kind of missed the point of everything Star Trek was meant to be, because we're focusing on like Section 31 agents and section. I have no problem. Look, a lot of people have problems with Section 31. Usually people think it's overdone. Like, I don't think many people have issues with Section 31 in DS9, but I think that the fact that it keeps getting brought back. Hello, Donato. The fact that it keeps getting brought back is an issue out of mind. I actually like Section 31, but I feel like it needs to exist in balance with the rest of, Star Trek. And like the better parts, like Section 31 exists to counter Starfleet, and it exists to make a point about something, without blemishing kind of the whole like Star Trek name. And if you just have like Section 31 in itself, you're kind of missing the mirror, which is ironic because this film plays a lot with the mirror universe. It's as much a mirror. Like, if anything, it's more of a mirror. If this was an episode of Star Trek, I would say it's more of a mirror episode of Star Trek than it is a Section 31 episode of Star Trek. But the thing is, they don't even do anything like particularly problematic. They don't go particularly rogue. In fact, actually, I don't think they do anything rogue in this entire film. They're pretty much above board. Like, they get sent on a mission. I mean, in fact, no, hang on. The only thing they do that's potentially illegal is they break a treaty thing about crossing a border, which normal Starfleet does all the time. And I guess this is actually maybe like kind of the point. Maybe at this point in Section 31's kind of history, they've because they kind of flip between being the like Black Ops part of section of Star Trek, of Starfleet rather, to being straight up like bad guys and antagonistic and rogue elements, to being a very secret element of Starfleet, to being something which is like an open secret. Like, it keeps changing, and that's fine because it can be different things in different parts of the Star Trek history. So I guess by this point, they're actually pretty legit. Black Ops part of Starfleet doing the things that the community disavowed but aren't entirely illegal. Like, they are illegal but not like immoral. Like, I get that like having Garrett there was meant to like kind of keep them on the straight and true, but like, why would Starfleet even do that in the first place? like the worst thing they do is it mostly takes place in a part where Starfleet isn't allowed to operate. That's literally mostly what this situation is here. I don't, and an occasional reference to the fact that they normally torture people, but like, but there's also like no real like. Okay, so where do I start with this? Firstly, Georgiou is perhaps the least interesting element in this film, because despite being the protagonist and really this being a Michelle Yeoh vehicle, she's actually the least interesting part of the film, because I think she doesn't really have. There's not really any growth for the character. We went through all all the Philippa Georgiou character development in Discovery, so there wasn't really much anywhere else for her to go. She's already like decided that she's this kind of like anti-hero, can't help have a conscience and be good, but is still kind of like a bit like dubious in the practicalities. She's already kind of settled on that, and she doesn't really change at any point in this entire thing. She's dealing with her past catching up with her, which I'm pretty sure was what she had to deal with when she went through the portal in the first place, or whatever. She's mostly like, she doesn't have a flaw particularly. Like, none of her techniques, all of her suggestions turn out to be actually accurate. None of her outlook on life seems to be wrong. I don't think she has a particular like flaw. Obviously, she did bad things, her atrocities in the past as a tyrant, but we already knew that, and she doesn't really like come out of it a changed person. Our protagonist doesn't have a. I'm about to shut my cat because she's about to step on my other cat. Oi, Lily! So rude. Yeah, she doesn't have a flaw. She doesn't grow. I'm not entirely sure. In fact, I think she could have like not been in this, and I don't know if I would have noticed differently. I was more compelled by, what was his name? Sahar? Oh, I watched this like hours ago, and I've already forgotten what the name of the character is. Alok. That's his first name. His actual full name. Where are you? Where's someone give me a name. Wait, is his name not? What his name is Alok? What? Was it like a fake name? Whatever. Okay, Alok. Apparently is his name. It was more compelling character with. In fact, Alok would have been better, because Alok is meant to be like a duplicate version of Georgiou. Alok is meant to have also had this, like, he's an Augment, he's from the eugenics war, he's had this like problematic past, he's done atrocities, but he was forced into it as like a slave rather than someone who actually wanted that as like a lifestyle kind of thing. But it's still kind of trying to like come to peace with that. There seems to be like character development there. I don't know if he got any either. It seems to just be he is part of Section 31 because that's the only place he seems to really think he can belong. I think everyone else got, well. Okay, so Georgiou, no character growth. Alok, potential character growth, doesn't really seize it. Quasi, yes, because their whole thing is they obsess over like probabilities and like different kind of things that go on, and like basically they're an analyst, and they're faced with an option where there's a 50-50 choice, and there's no way for them to kind of quantify one as more substantial than the other. Hey, it's not much, but there's a character development moment where they just trust their gut and they go for one and they're right. Garrett embraces the kind of chaos and the stiffness of learn to be more flexible about what it means to be a stiff Starfleet officer. Again, none of these are particularly novel concepts. Okay, it's just that the show doesn't do it poorly, so I'm not particularly inclined to complain about that. It's nothing. This film isn't anything special. I keep saying a show because it feels like a blue show. It's even episodic. We have like episode titles throughout the film, just to remind you this is meant to be a show, just to distract you from that. No, to distract you towards that. I don't know if Fuzz really gets a character moment because they turn out to be the antagonist, and they have a very flimsy motivation that is basically they're obsessed about the fact that microbes are meant to be superior. I guess. I mean, to be fair, I don't think I've seen it before. It makes sense. Sure, I'll roll with it. Which one was he? Okay, whatever. And then there was the Dalton who got like killed in the first act, like that character from the first Mission Impossible film. Spoilers. Or like Susie in Torchwood, who dies in the first episode. They're basically someone. It's a trend of putting someone in your main cast to pretend that, so then you can shock the audience by killing them off in the first scene. Except to kind of imply anyone can die. Except that doesn't really happen, and I don't feel that's the case. I don't know. I kind of forgot. I'm so used to it right now. I kind of like forgot to be shocked by it. I do, yeah. But then, so there isn't really a clear antagonist for like the first half of the film because we don't know that San. Is that their name? I should have just left up the Wikipedia article. Yeah, we don't know that Stan's alive. So, for like half the film. I mean, I guess you could have predicted it. I didn't. Maybe that's on me. So, the antagonist that the film wants us to kind of concentrate on for the first half is each other. Because we're given the idea that... And actually, that's fairly interesting. I kind of got into that. The idea that actually the bad guy is one of the main cast and we don't know which one. And there's reasons why it could be any of them. And because they're all aliens and all have different abilities, like you got the person who's a shapeshifter, you've got the cyborg, you've got the person who can like fly around in like a miniature kind of. I'm not gonna lie, the reveal that the Vulcan body had an autopilot, which means that he could move around and respond when he wasn't being piloted by a small microscopic ship. I assumed that was a given. And so it didn't really click to me that it was a reveal for Jar Jar to realise that that's actually what's been going on, but apparently that was a reveal. But yeah, the whole like kind of who is the mole, that was fairly interesting. Again, it wasn't like nothing of it was particularly novel, but it wasn't done poorly. Like a lot of these things in this, okay, here's the thing. It seemed like they were doing something new with this by the trailer, but new in the wrong direction. That was why I was concerned. But what it turns out is that actually they were doing something very, very safe, and they were doing it well. And in order of things, it's kind of doing things safe but poorly is the worst. Then doing things that are safe but doing it well. Then doing things which are risky but doing it poorly, because I always admire the risk over the execution. And then doing something which is risky and doing it well is like a top. And so it's like second from the bottom, but it's a safe kind of option that it pays off well. So how much can I really complain? I can express some confusion over cinematography. So I remember saying this when I watched the trailer. There's this weird shots in the trailer where they just kind of like punch in and punch out and like crop and zoom and pan and zoom and whip around. And I assumed it was a trailer thing. No, but it's actually in the film. For reasons which I think are very random and I can't work out what they're going for, they just kind of like randomly punch in and then punch out. But like not in a Firefly found footage mockumentary style, which works, but just like it's not. It looks post. I mean, it is post. But like with like say Firefly, when they do the zoom in and zoom out, it's like it's in camera. It's the camera refocusing, and so it works. But here it's someone in editing doing it. Like even in like the diegetic part of the camera, if that's a thing. and some it's kind of unclear what they were going for there. I didn't like it particularly. I wasn't put off. Well, I don't know what I wasn't put off. Also, I can't tell if Sven Roygrok, who plays Fuzz, who I think is a South African actor. I can't tell how good their Irish accent is. I need someone who's Irish to tell me. But I'm saying this as someone who can't do a very good Irish accent either. I'm not really the best judge, but it kind of comes across to me as if they were doing a very kind of over the top Irish accent, like very cartoony, very squeaky, and it was, I don't know, because like you can do your own accent in a very over exaggerated fashion, and it's still your own accent. This isn't their accent though, so I don't know how I feel about a person. I mean, maybe to be fair, I'm assuming because they're South African that they don't speak with an Irish accent. They might do. So, I need someone who's actually Irish to kind of comment on that, because it seems beneath Star Trek to be doing piss poor Irish accents. Just saying. I did like Rachel Gow as a character, to be honest. Actually, I don't know why it has to be that character, but she didn't distract from it. It was actually kind of nice to see her, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought I was gonna find more of the characters obnoxious. I actually didn't. I don't think I found anyone obnoxious. Even Fuzz, potentially poor Irish accent aside, was fairly alright. Fairly alright is how I describe it. It was weird. Like I said, they didn't do anything particularly like dark or breaching of Federation policies or anything that was like dramatically wrong. The plotline was derivative, but not terribly so. Like in the same way that a lot of stuff is like following a pattern. It's like, well, that's fine. Like, not everyone needs to like innovate a new story. You should tell it. Like, sometimes it's just a vehicle for the performances. Oh yeah, I'm not entirely sure what growth. I'm actually big thinking about Sans whole motivation actually, because they seem to want to become the ruler of. I get it's confusing. It's they condemned Georgiou for being a monster tyrant, but then decided that they wanted to take over the mirror universe by destroying another universe and becoming like. And I get it. Trauma can make you into like a particularly like. Trauma can like turn you as a person and make you into the monster that you're trying to defeat. And maybe that was the whole point. Maybe Sans whole thing was they became the monster that they're trying to defeat, except they're actually like instead of being a hero becoming the monster, it's the villain becoming the monster because the hero already is the monster. I guess that is interesting. Maybe if you let into that a bit more. It's not clear how San is alive 100 years in the future in an opposite universe. Don't worry about it. It just kind of happened. I expected it much more violent and graphic than it was. Actually, it was fine. I think there was like no people threw up blood a few times. Some got stabbed in the neck, but not in a particularly violent way. I actually fairly like. In fact, it was less violent than Discovery was. I was putting it off for a bit because I wasn't sure how violent it was going to be, but actually, it's fine. What else can I say about this? I mean, it's getting low reviews. People don't like it. I think they're comparing it with the rest of Star Trek, and I think it is maybe like the less gooder parts of Star Trek, the less well executed parts. I don't think it's one I'm gonna like. I think it's like a lot of things. It's not bad in itself. I think it's unnecessary. Okay, well it's 20 to 1. I've got work in a few hours. I also need to be up to watch this like online seminar thing, and I might end up not doing that because I might fall asleep. I need to go pray and go lie down. I've been laughing all weekend, so I think I've said everything I'm gonna say. We're gonna go now. Get out of my house.